So, if you've ever been on a dating app, you know the feeling, right? That little mix of excitement and, let's be honest, a bit of suspicion with every single swipe. But what if that nagging feeling is just scratching the surface of something way bigger? Today, we're diving deep into the massive, hidden economy that's literally built on heartbreak. Let's unmask the billion-dollar world of romance scams.
Okay, let's just start with a number that is, well, it's staggering. $1.14 billion. That's how much money the Federal Trade Commission says was lost to romance scams in 2024. Just let that sink in for a second. This isn't just a few bad actors. We're talking about a crisis on an industrial scale.
You know, $1 billion can feel kind of abstract, but this number, this makes it real. The median loss for each victim is $4,400. For so many people, that's their life savings. That's retirement money. All gone. Stolen after weeks, sometimes months of careful, calculated emotional manipulation. And this is the result. This is what it does to all of us. It creates this fundamental erosion of trust that just poisons the well for everybody who's genuinely looking for a connection. This quote right here, it perfectly captures that anxiety that's become a core part of modern online dating. So first up, let's really dig into the true scale of this problem. Because this isn't about a few lonely people in their basements. No, this is a global operation with absolutely devastating consequences.
Yeah. This just completely blows up that old myth of the lone wolf scammer. A 2023 UN report uncovered these industrial-scale operations. They call them pig butchering scams, mostly running out of Southeast Asia. You need to think of these like sophisticated criminal corporations. They have scripts, they have training, and horrifically, they often use trafficked workers who are forced to carry out these scams.
Okay, so with a problem this massive, you'd think that dating platforms would be all over it, right? And to be fair, they are trying. But as we're about to see, they're caught in an arms race that they are fundamentally, structurally set up to lose.
Just think about this for a second. 1 million fake accounts on just one app every single week. This number comes directly from Match Group's own reports. It shows you the sheer volume they're fighting against. It's a constant game of whack-a-mole, and for every account they take down, it feels like 2 more pop right back up.
So why aren't they winning this fight? Well, the answer is kind of buried deep in their own financial filings with the SEC. You see, platforms treat trust and safety not as a core feature, but as a cost center. In business speak, that means it's an expense you try to shrink, something to minimize to protect your profit margins.
And when that's your mindset, this is what happens. You get understaffed moderation teams. You get tech that's always playing catch-up, reacting to scams instead of preventing them. And at the end of the day, you get a corporate culture where hitting those quarterly earnings numbers is just more important than protecting users.
All right, now we get to what is probably the most uncomfortable part of this whole story. The system isn't just failing to stop fraud. The economic incentives might actually, in a weird way, reward it.
To really get this, you have to follow the money. We, the users, are spending a whopping $8.4 billion a year on things like super likes and boosts and all those other in-app purchases, all because we're hoping to find a better connection.
But here is the paradox. Over the past decade or so, the average amount of money each user spends, the ARPU, has shot up dramatically. But guess what hasn't? The success rates that users actually report. They've stayed completely flat. So we're paying way more, but we're not getting better results. That's a model of value extraction, not value creation.
There's a fancy term for this in economics. It's called an externality. Basically, the platform treats fraud as a cost of doing business that you have to deal with. You lose the money, the time, the trust. Meanwhile, they still get the benefit from all those fake accounts because it inflates their engagement numbers. There's just very little financial reason for them to solve a problem that's mostly costing someone else.
Okay, I know that was a lot of bad news. It's pretty bleak. But here's the thing. There is a clear, data-backed solution that could fundamentally change this entire game. And it's not some secret tech. It already exists.
And here's the crucial part. Users really wanted this. A big Pew Research study found that 41% of us would absolutely use video verification if it was offered. So this isn't some niche idea. It's a mainstream demand for a safer, more real experience.
And from a business perspective, the case for it is just so powerful. Data shows that proper identity verification can slash fraud by 70%. And it's not just about stopping the bad stuff. Bumble found that verified profiles get a 25% boost in engagement.
It's safer, it leads to better chats, and it takes less than a minute for someone to do it. This really proves that trust itself is a feature. It's maybe the most important feature. When you know you're talking to a real person, you engage more, you have better conversations, and you stick around on the app longer. It is a clear win-win for both the user and the business.
Now, for years, these platforms have kind of dragged their feet on these changes, prioritizing crazy growth over user safety. But now, there are outside forces that are making that old way of doing things completely unsustainable.
A regulatory reckoning is finally here. New laws, like the Online Safety Act in the UK and the Digital Services Act in the EU, are now mandating strong fraud prevention and identity verification. The era of just pushing the cost of fraud onto users, it's coming to an end. Platforms now have to take real responsibility, or they're going to face massive fines. And really, this quote just sums it all up, doesn't it? For far too long, the industry has treated our broken trust like it's just some unfortunate bug in the system. The future belongs to the platforms that finally understand that trust is the most valuable feature they could ever possibly build. So we'll leave you with this question to think about. As users, we've been paying for these platforms with our money, with our time, and more, with our trust. Is the connection they're offering really worth that price? The answer to that question is what's going to define the entire future of finding love online.